Alrighty, guys, we're about to go into the draft between Cloud9 and Team Name Change on Sky Temple. This is a best-of-3 series qualification match for the regional event happening at the ESL studios in Burbank, America. California, even.
Nice.
We just got our lobby invite, and the draft link is up. Team Name Change is the first pick, first ban, confirming Sky Temple was the pick of Cloud9. And glad we saw, Cloud9 just absolutely dismantle their opponents on Sky Temple just about an hour ago.
So. Yeah, for sure. Like, C9 just picked them apart. Their rotations were perfect. Their watchtower control was perfect. The only two mistakes of the game was on bottom temple. When it was spawning, they didn't expect the Dahaka, and K1 Pro ended up having to die to save Arthlon and Dunk. And then a couple unfortunate positional errors from iDream. He didn't expect the Dahaka to get knocked into him from the Pharaoh. And then also the time in mid, I think that was a mistake. iDream didn't need to be there. They could have secured bottom temple to get the keep.
They had a boss pushing, or that had just pushed.
They had bottom temple to secure the keep for sure. So I just think it was a little bit greedy going for mid, but it's aside from those like 3 or 4 little things, it was almost a perfect game from C9.
Yeah, I mean, they played very, very well. We have half the members of this game here in the lobby, and we'll get that sorted very soon. Now, just looking at the bracket in general right now, I mean, we are pretty much towards the end of the day. This is quali 3 out of 4. So pretty much the way it works is we have Cloud9 versus Team Name Change. That's one qualification match. One of those teams will be going to Burbank. On the other side of the bracket, Astral Authority just defeated OVO Gaming. So they're waiting for their opponent. It's going to be either Tempo Storm with a new roster. We talked about Urho. He's out. They have Tiger JK in. Zix is now playing Warrior Tank.
But
yeah, they've put Tiger on support. So that is a very new team. They got 8th place at DreamHack Austin. The team said, you know what, this isn't okay. We need to make adjustments, and this is them responding to that very quickly. They're facing Hot Dog Burglars. We'll see if they defeat them. I mean, that matchup is happening right now.
It was a pretty close game. I caught the end of the first match, and like,
you know who won?
Yeah, Tempo ended up winning the first game, but there was some it was a kind of sloppy game on both ends. There were a couple misplays. Tomstar sent his ult backwards
at one point.
And, yeah, that was crazy. But I think if Tempo comes together and has some good synergy with their new roster, then they'll be able to win. Oh my god, dude, I'm a wizard so far.
Clarang,
I didn't predict the first pick Tyrande.
Team Name Change realizes that they were dreaming Austin. Tyrande was a critical part of the stun compositions out of Cloud9. This is one of Cloud9's comfort drafts that they haven't shown it all today. Not going to be the case here. With Tyrande being stolen.
I think either Murden Li Ming or Murden Sylvanas for C9. If C9 has done their homework against TNC, they'll want to deny the Sylvanas, because TNC, they do play with Li Ming, but their Li Ming build is not optimal in my opinion. The one they have practiced is Cannoner, just the teleport auto attack style of Li Ming. I see. Yeah, and I personally hate that build. Orb build seems really consistent, and then there's variations of Q build, but they do end up securing the Murden Li Ming. I think that's really smart. Both Arthlon and K1 Pro play a good Li Ming, and iDream too, but iDream for the most part is on a melee. But TNC, I would be surprised if they didn't secure Sylve here. Zul Sylve would make a lot of sense with their playstyle, the way they want to play the game. But also, securing ETC is really important. You already have the Tyrande.
They could go ETC Thrall right here and have a very powerful lockdown comp. Almost use Cloud9's style against them. I mean, Zul has the same effect, but of course has just stronger push in general. And we've seen great diversity in Zuls in general, I would say, just between Skeletal Mages versus Poison Nova. Some builds are full Skeleton builds. Some builds are more Spectral Scythe-oriented. How do you think Zul would be played here in Sky Temple so far?
I actually think it'll be a Skeletal Mages full Skeleton build on this map. They already have ETC Tyrande. They have a lot of kill pressure. They don't need the mark at 16 from Zul due to Tyrande already having a mark on such a low cooldown. I think they just want to play for map pressure.
Look at ETC's Axe paired with Zool
Oh,
Scythe.
dude. And then the wing too.
Oh my goodness, it's beautiful.
That's amazing.
The little things glow.
Yep, gotta love Heroes Draft, man. It makes your day. It looks like he has like one angelic wing and then one metallic wing, and he's like trying to fly.
What a beautiful cow. We're going into the bans. Sylvanas will be banned out here on the side of TNC. And team name change.
Yeah, so like I was saying before, TNC plays really well with Sylvanas. C9 has already secured Li Ming. They're aiming for a Falstad, so that's why they banned the Sylvanas. They sort of expect a Tassadar ban, and that's why they are aiming for the Falstad, but I'm not 100% sure. TNC might leave Tassadar up, but we'll have to see what they prioritize.
In the event that we do see Tassadar left open, do you think Tassadar Sonya is the correct route here for C9? They don't play a lot of Sonya. They really don't.
Yeah, and I'm really not that impressed with Sonya lately. I think it's way more likely that they'd go Tassadar Greymane again and run that style of composition.
They're having Uther right now, just trying to deny big support. Would pretty much confirm Dunktrain playing Rhaegar in that situation. I think they have to take Rhaegar, otherwise Team Ninja will take him.
Like, this will be Falstad plus Rhaegar here, I think. But then it might be Falstad Tass just to deny the Tass Tyrande from TNC, but...
They're just going to go Rhaegar Tyrande.
Yeah.
Probably, I mean...
I feel like it would be a mistake if C9 doesn't secure Falstad as well here. They're going to be on triple ranged, so they're a little bit low on frontline pressure, but Calf's the kind of player...
Yeah, he's more than capable
of just stepping up and taking that responsibility.
Yeah. And honestly...
So let's see.
Yeah, all right, Tassadar. Is it the Falstad that you think is critical here?
I think it's going to be Rhaegar, just so that they keep their last pick flexible. They're comfortable last picking a Greymane with that comp. If Sonya looks good, they can pick that there. Like, they don't need to pick Falstad here. In fact, I think Falstad is weak just because triple ranged in the current meta isn't optimal.
Yeah.
So the Tass Rhaegar makes a lot of sense. They're going to last pick Greymane most likely. But if Falstad's still up, that's a possibility. I don't think it's super likely. Sonya is also a possibility. Thrall, maybe, but C9 doesn't favor Thrall, and I know C9 doesn't particularly... When they do pick Thrall, they don't enjoy picking it when they have a Tassadar, if that makes any sense. You want a melee that's willing to step up, or have the threat of stepping up.
Well, team name change, they need ranged. Vala is still there, so is Falstad. Falstad with the global presence, very likely to be picked up here, as Cloud9 is well aware they gave that up, in favor of the potential Greymane, as you mentioned. 20 seconds remaining on their bonus pool, so they will confirm the Falstad, their final pick, potentially a second support. We have seen Falstad paired with Brightwing a little bit from a variety of teams, but Tyrande can solo support if needed.
I feel like the Uther ban hurt them more than it helped them, because Brightwing is a suboptimal way to finish out this draft. You won't have enough damage on your team, and the utility you get from the global isn't enough to make up for it, in my opinion. So I actually don't know what the most optimal last pick for them is. Wow. Kharazim is weird. That is weird for me, but
I don't think they have an option.
They still need a support, and Kharazim is better than Brightwing, I suppose.
Well, I mean, seven-sided is at least an offensive option, right? I mean, even with the lone Murd, and you force out a Dwarf Toss, because I don't think we'll see Palm.
It's hard to say. Palm has been definitely way more favored than Seven-Sided Strike. The only team that recently has been picking up Seven-Sided Strike is Naventic, and I think that's mostly like Kenma's playstyle. He likes he
uses it almost to keep himself alive.
Yeah, exactly. He uses it like an ice block. And here comes the Greymane from C9. That makes a lot of sense. If you think about it, if Greymane plays properly with the range at 7 and the movement speed at 13, there's no way the enemy team can really get onto him. Unless he gets gusted. He can kite Kharazim forever, Zool forever. ETC, he can get hit by the Q, but if you position far enough back, you can wait for ETC to Q and then go aggressive. I think Greymane's a good pick here. Overall, I think C9 is the better draft. The Kharazim... I don't know. I think you had to commit to solo support Tyrande there. I don't think the Kharazim's going to be enough. Kharazim is good at solo.
What would you have liked to see otherwise? Like another... just range? Just grab Vala instead?
Yeah, I mean, probably just another ranged. It gives you more of a damage threat. But
What
the
about
thing
like a
is,
half warrior? Like, you know, they already have Zool for a front line. Is that too much, having 3 frontliners?
you get poked down by Leeming really easy once you
Yeah,
start to
that's
have
true.
that many frontliners. But I don't know. A Zeratul could have been okay. A Vala could have been okay. But the way that they set up the draft by banning Uther kind of just made them not have the greatest options. It kind of forced them into an awkward Karazhan pick.
Okay, well,
But
Glau,
we
I gotta
actually did
say, I love sitting here in these drafts with you because it's just wonderful to hear your thought process, your mentality. Because I mean, honestly, pro players, they have the best insight. That's why people love Dreadnought's analysis so much. He used to be a pro player.
exactly,
And,
yeah.
you know, having people like you on the mic, Dunk Train on the mic, it's always like insanely valuable, even to myself. I'm sure the viewers love it just as well. So be sure to follow this guy. Seriously. His Twitter's right there.
Thanks for the shout out, man.
Follow him.
But yeah, the way TNC wins this game is getting ahead early by their Zool lane pressure and the early pickoffs with ETC Tyrande. What C9 needs to do is they need to survive until the temples spawn. They need to keep control of sight and let Arthalon poke on Leeming. I know Arthalon favors the orb build that was popularized more or less by Faye, but Arthalon, K1 Pro, and Faye are the 3 Leeming players that I see use that build a lot. And if you think about it, she's going to be unpressured the entire game. There's no way for TNC to pressure the Leeming here. They're going to be trying to kill the Rhaegar and the Greymane. But
Alrighty, well, very quick intros. On the blue side, that is Cloud9, and the red side, TNC. This is game number 1 of the qualification match, and the early owl flying on out. Falsehead will control the shrine for a moment, but as Glau has been saying all day, that is not something C9 is just going to give up.
yeah, just watch Calf. As soon as they rotate to lane, Calf's going to walk up to site. C9 most likely will concede mid lane, considering they have ETC Tyrande and Zool. So yeah, Murden or Rhaegar, one of the two should be getting sight soon. But what's interesting, watch Prismat on Falstad. He's such an aggressive player that, like, he's going to go for trades that you're not used to seeing. And sometimes that bites him in the ass, and sometimes he gets an advantage off of it. He's a player who hasn't received too much credit because TNC is not that well known of a team yet. But I wanted to give him credit for it. Oh, Calf predicting the juke a little bit wrong.
Yeah.
But still really good. They're maintaining control of sight. Tassadar and Greymane are playing safe, catching up the soak. And like Leeming, she's gonna start sieging down the top turrets, so you get increased value off the top temple.
That's something that Falsehead won't be able to respond to all that well, but they're just responding by going straight into mid. Middle tower gonna fall very quickly here with this 3-man push. Even the shields of Tassadar not nearly sufficient. Temple spawning in 10 seconds, but let's take a look at the level 1 talents. We do have the Wolf Run. Dunk does like that very much so. Viciousness there for Greymane, just mixing it up a little bit.
That's odd.
Yeah.
Viciousness, I used to run it a lot personally, but it's a little bit odd. Wolfheart with the current Greymane build, I think, is in general better, but Viciousness is really good when you want your W to be up in crucial moments during a team fight.
Oh.
You just have to be smart about when you activate it.
Okay, well, the trades are happening. It's going to be pretty darn even due to the structural damage done to both mid and top on each side, respectively. And beyond that, everything is pretty darn standard. Power hungry, you know, that's something that Arth likes to get, especially on a map like this where you're constantly rotating around waves. You can get those globes to empower yourself.
And like I was saying, just watch C9's prioritization. They always prioritize top fort. It's more valuable because of the knight placement, and they always prioritize watchtower. In both of the 2 games that we've recently watched on Sky Temple, C9 has had the watchtower at least 80% of the game.
Well, right now is not one of those moments
Yeah.
of TNC. It's like, we got the eyes right now. Feeling good rotating around. C9 with a slight experience lead as these waves of minions collapse. That will turn around a little bit, but it's all because this fort has stayed up, whereas the fort in the top lane, not quite the case.
Yeah, that's the big deal. XP-wise, it looks like a pretty even game, but C9 is actually at a pretty substantial advantage. The fact that top fort is already down, that opens the map so much. Their knights aren't gonna like pressure as hard, but it's gonna give you so much more vision, and it's going to force the Falstad to stay top way longer than he wants to initially. And we see
Oh, good.
Greymane has really, really good clear on Giants. They're just posturing. I don't think they'll go in for this.
Yeah, if Buds and Matra were a little bit further forward, I feel like Justin would have gotten in for the power slide, but realizing there was at least 3 members, it wouldn't have been a favorable trade in that environment.
And we see iDream. He's actually stepping up, being a little bit aggressive, making sure that he can clear out the easies. But here comes the Toronto.
Oh, the Lunar Flare? Big damage.
He should be fine.
Yeah. He's got that swipe to relocate a little bit, using Disengage to back up even further. And they're actually turning out to Matra, doing some big damage. Now, he could go in there with the Dark Flight, but it's always a risky thing to do, as your escape will not be ready for a full 4 seconds.
So as we saw in the last Sky Temple game C9 played, they set up the top wave with King Caffeine up there so that the team was being denied soak. But now Prismat is pushing out the lane. Greymane's heading up to catch the soak. Or actually, Rigger's going to have to catch it. Yeah, these rotations are a little bit off by C9. They're going to end up missing a wave top
Dream
lane.
is taking way too much damage. He actually needs help with this. Like, it's not a camp he can do. On his own, he actually has to back away. He re-engages, realizing one Snug is coming up. But that's a full wave of minions that will be missed here.
Yeah, that was a blunder by C9 for sure. They gave up a full wave top. And
it's a lot of experience. And that evens definitely things out exactly, honestly.
Because they did Knights and waited that long for the camp, TNC's actually in the lead. They're getting free shots bottom. And mid-fort's being heavily pressured too. This is not that great of a situation for C9.
Now, the Knight camp in the top lane will get some value if bottom lane is drawn out for an extended period of time. Half the ammunition is remaining, but we see Bone Prison used very early by
iDream is so far up.
The Lunar Flare whiffs entirely, though, and that allows him to turn around. Huge damage going on to How New End, doing a lot, but in the front line, Dream does have to back away. See the huge poke from Li Ming across the wall, chunking through Prismaticism's health, but this is going to give the control to Cloud9 for this bottom temple.
Oh, this is interesting. The reason why iDream went Viciousness, he's going to be going more of a dog-oriented build. If you look at his level 7 talent, he has Wizened Duelist. So at 16, he's going to look to pick up the CC reduction talent, and he's just going to go dog form and go ham. That's his strategy this game.
Woof. I mean, this is not at all common. I mean, it's like gathering power. You die, you lose that. But we have to also talk about the power of a Greymane that's going to do that much damage with a Leeming Orb build behind it. That Orb build is going to enable iDream to go in pretty safely, go for the throat and find quick kills. And then that's just going to snowball and get out of control.
The interesting thing, too, it actually makes a lot of sense to go for the CC reduction Wolf build against the Zul ETC Tyrande. That's a lot of CC. They're going to be focusing you. Arthlon's on Li Ming. They're not going to be pressuring Arth very much if Arth positions properly. And it's going to allow iDream to really just go off on that Greymane.
Well, this bottom fort is low. Cloud9 was doing their best to poke around, but Calf just looking around, making sure they are safe for the escape, as they did not have level 10, whereas TNC did. TNC, what they go for? Gust, Starfall, Mosh Pit, Skeletal Mages, and then Palm. No 7-sided strike.
Yeah, C9 missed another top wave here. That's really bad. You can see the XP lead starting to build up for TNC as well. So far, they've missed 2 full waves of XP in the top lane, and Fawcett's been able to split push down the wall. It's pretty significant. Right now, it's almost a half-level lead for TNC.
Okay, TNC also secures their giant cape here in the bottom. C9 does have a large presence here. Falstead in the top, but it looks like Zul's being collapsed on in mid. So King Caffeine gonna look for that Stormbolt, body blocking initially. Force Wall is on point with the Stormbolt. Li Ming gonna get the Orb and the Disintegrate, and with that Bone Prison, I'm not sure if Haoyun's gonna have enough to sustain Psystorm Stormbolt enough for the kill.
And by the way, it is Divine Palm. Matre wasn't there quite in time to get it off. But, like, meanwhile, while that fight was going on mid, iDream and Dunk Train were just brawling bot lane, keeping the team occupied while they killed Zul mid. Yeah,
so they're going to be able to trade out this bottom fort, but Sebastian almost has that top one down as well. Nice Radiant Dash. They're getting Matra back to safety, but with a double temple spawning, this is actually pretty darn even. Like, I wouldn't put either team in a favorable situation. All heroics, they're just about ready. Starfall only on a cooldown. And, you know, structurally, the game's rather close. Mid fort's going to go down, followed quickly by that top fort going down if this is continued to be held here by TNC.
The interesting thing here, too, is I think C9's comp scales really well into late game. Post 16, Orb build really activates, and Greymane becomes pretty much immune to CC. 75% is an insane amount.
Yeah.
Now we see Prismat going in.
K1?
They're focusing K1 hard.
Oh,
what?
just a minute late there
What?
with the dimensional shift. He gets blown up from that Hunter's Mark. Did not respect the power of the incoming damage. That is a huge pickup for TNC.
Was that a disconnect? Like, that made no sense to me. He could have activated his E, like, so far in advance. That's a huge misplay, I think.
Dream diving back in. Bone Prison going to connect, and Dream's going to end up falling as well. TNC picking up a level lead and controlling this middle temple.
Huge blunder there from K1 Pro. It costed him his life, and then iDream, a lot of the times, once one of your teammates just gets picked off, there's a little bit of chaos going on. You don't exactly know when it or where it's safe to rotate, and iDream ended up getting caught in the aftermath.
Static Shield is going to be big. Decrepify for a lot of control. Shrink Ray also control-oriented. There's a lot of Greymane responsive picks, realizing he's going dog form.
I want to see Houndwin go really deep here. Oh, nice mosh pit.
Yeah,
oh
three-man mosh with Starfall, but the damage from Leeming over the wall. Arthalon gets the single kill, but they're going to be able to pick up the boss regardless. Leeming does need to back away from this, minimizing some of the damage that could have come from this. Still, it's a boss in favor of TNC.
Unfortunately, the boss really won't do anything here. There's no temples spawning. The only thing TNC gets out of this boss is map control and a slight XP lead from the kills they've gotten. Leeming and Greymane clean up the boss really, really fast. But because of this, they're going to have Zool developing the top lane. They're going to have their knights out. And because of the top lane pressure, TNC is going to be able to invade Cloud9's Giants. And because of that, the increased map control is actually a huge deal.
Yeah, well, full level lead, as mentioned, level 13 is picked up. Unfettered Assault is picked up. What do you think about that?
I think in this situation, Unfettered Assault is by far the best pick. It allows you to stack off Viciousness much easier with the increased range on Dog Q, because that reprocs your W. But also, post 16, you're going to want to be in dog form like 80 to 90% of the time, just for the reduced CC. And it'll allow you to go deeper or retreat while staying in dog and not having to go back into human. And so TNC actually opts to go for their Giants instead of invading Cloud9's. I think that's fine, but because of the boss pressure, they're able to just maintain map control, get the inner track on clearing out the enemy team's Giants. And you see Falstad just being annoying as ever, you know, constantly pressuring the side of the map that C9's on, throwing out Qs. And
surprised C9 didn't grab the watchtower in this situation. They ran around, pressured Falstad back. Oracle is revealing the location of Falstad, and obviously with that control of the watchtower, he's not feeling too afraid as his team is rotating up from
TNC's
below.
Just completely comfortable leaving how to win bottom. He's just going to start doing work. And honestly, if I was the Zool here, I would tell my team, look, I'm just going to push bottom, drop my ultimate, and try and get this keep while you guys dance. Now that Leeming is back, though, TNC should really look to force hard with level 16.
Yeah, How is moving up. 16 is around the corner, and that's going to net them a strong window to control this top shrine. Tacitor did just rotate down to get that watchtower, which will reveal when Zool does make his way up. And actually, I like this call from Arthalon to abandon that bottom lane, just leaving the Giants there by themselves. The Skeletal Mages used early.
Go for the throat for Skeletal Mages. That's a fine trade. It also... So, yeah. THC finishes off the temple for free. They get Greymane's ult, which is a huge, crucial part of his mobility. And, like, they're sitting really pretty here. They still have Gust. They still have Mosh Pit. Like,
yeah, and they have the top temple. Like, this is a wonderful trade. Now, it's no keep down, but Cloud9 now has 2 lanes that are completely exposed. Looking at the structures of TNC, all their lanes are pretty darn healthy. 1 tower down in total.
Oh, but Prismat, he's getting pressured by Calf. He should be fine.
Missed the Stormbolt.
But just look at Prismat's aggression.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there's no Stormbolt. I mean, he can afford to be that aggressive.
Exactly, yeah. So the interesting thing, THC, what they got off their level 16 advantage is 2 keep walls. That's huge on Sky Temple, because now if a temple spawns top lane or bot lane, it's a guaranteed keep for THC.
But with level 16, we now have Relentless Predator paired with Earthgrass Totem and Arcane Orbit there for Li Ming. So Cloud9 now really kind of, their team is what they want to be. This is when they're hitting their true power. And we're going to see iDream be quite hard to deal with.
Exactly. Their comp is turning on right now, in my opinion. Leeming with the level 16 power spike on orbs.
Dream has no fear.
Yeah, dude, Dream, 75% CC reduction. He can do anything now. It would take a miracle for them to CC lock him and kill him.
All right, well, they just spent the power slide there out of ETC. Dream is just constantly dancing around saying, try and hit me.
Yeah,
oh,
for sure.
Arthalon has a pause. Arth, lag 1 sec. Great.
This game is much closer than I anticipated, to be completely honest with you. Like, THC is showing up here. And, like, I think C9 has a good draft, too. Going dog build is unusual. We'll see if it pays off for them. Tooth and Claw at level 20. If iDream is getting the proper support from Dunk Train, and he gets, like, 2 to 3 auto attacks on 2 or more targets, the team fight's over. They just win. Especially with the threat of Li Ming getting resets. But you never know. Like, I feel like the other Greymane build, the more standard human auto attack build,
Right.
is way more consistent.
Basically the Rainer build. Like, I'm a better Rainer.
He's a way better Rainer, honestly. Rainer, I think, should never be picked. And if you want a solid auto attack damage oriented hero, just go Greymane. His level 20 power spike is unlike anything else. I think dog build is better from level 13 to 19, and then as soon as you hit level 20, the human build just goes off. It's insane.
Just a splash. Blunderbuss.
Something really interesting. Tassadar actually opted in for Shrink Ray this game.
Yep, Toronto did as well. So really weird having double Shrink Ray in the game from the pseudo supports. But it's just kind of getting the additional control on the front line.
If THC notices that and they start focusing K1 Pro, C9's just gonna lose. Once people realize that Tassadar no longer has prescience,
I'm sure they know.
Dimensional warp, then Tassadar's suddenly not that strong of a hero. But if you respect the Tassadar as if he has dimensional warp and prescience, then Tassadar gets a lot of value. So I would really, really like to see THC just start focusing K1 in these fights.
I mean, he's almost more of a heal bot than a walking ward at this point with this build. Okay, middle shrine here currently being contested over Zul is in that top lane. And Watchtower currently in favor of TNC, but Caffeine will grab it for C9.
C9 is going all in on the Greymane pick here, especially with Tassadar's build too. They can't focus the Greymane. As crazy as that sounds to say, they have to either kill Li Ming or kill Tassadar. Or if iDream's really overextended, then turn on him. But they don't have the tools right now to be able to kill iDream.
Okay, they're rotating up aggressively. They've got them cornered. Li Ming's going to actually hit that orb, getting the reset on it. So huge damage coming out. Second one, don't think that ended up hitting Hao Nguyen in the bottom, but King Caffeine going to get locked down with the Bone Prison. Avatar popped very early in this fight. iDream in the front, orb, trying to get out of here, and the orb has been doing so much damage. Once again, flying on forward, but the damage from Fallset, great response so far. Mighty Gust has been used, and now King Caffeine will be locked down with that Bone Prison and blown up.
That's what THC had to do. They can't kill the Greymane. C9's comp is just protect the Greymane. And Caff, he was a little bit greedy. He realized that Palm was used on Toronto, so he stopped DPS and tried to kill her. But because of that, he got punished. And now we see Prismat putting a heavy focus on Tassadar. That's really important. And he's getting bursted. Oh my god, C9 is in a really bad position here. They've already lost one keep, and Boss is an option to secure the second keep for THC.
The response was perfect. I mean, Tassadar, or excuse me, Tyrannica Azim, more than sufficient to keep this team alive. The poke from Li Ming looked like it was going to be a huge issue from the start of that fight, but it really wasn't. Everyone was always at half health or more, and even with Greymane dancing around the front, he slipped up once, got caught by the Lunar Flare with Hunter's Mark on him, and that was enough with the chain CC. I gotta hand it to him. Also, King Caffeine trying to buy a lot of time way far forward. Kind of uncharacteristic of him. He was nowhere near his team when he died.
If THC goes for boss, this is triple keep. Triple keep on Sky Temple is almost impossible to come back on. This is insane. I can't believe TNC is stepping up like this. And I doubted their draft. I doubted the Karazim. But I think one of the bigger issues is C9's putting all their eggs in one basket. And I think what they should have done, just go with accept that your comp is more poke oriented and just dance around, wait for your opportunity to go in with a different Greymane build. You already have orb build, and then seize your opportunity to strike. And right now, TNC is just forcing boss. C9 can't do anything about it.
Yeah, level 20 is just too much.
This is a third keep.
Arthalon poking from around the backside, but Greymane is nowhere near. They're just trying to do their best to do a little bit of damage to the side of TNC while they continue to soak and push out that top lane. This is going to be a bottom escort, as you mentioned, grabbing some giants to go with it. This keep is going to fall.
This could be game. if Prismac goes for an aggressive gust and they get kills off of it. But what I'd rather like to see than take that risky play, just secure the keep and play off the next temples. C9's still far from 20. You can delay until the next temple to win. But we'll see if Prismac goes for the aggressive gust into Mosh Pit.
Okay, the boss has made it all the way up to the keep. Skeletal Mages used just to zone out, and Dream goes pretty far forward. Got to be careful waiting for the Hunter's Mark. A lot of damage going off on him, and he's going to be able to use that disengage, but Karazim diving forward. Fawcett goes in, and Dream ends up falling.
Dunk Train missed a critical ultimate there. The Ancestral Healing misclicked onto King Caffeine. King Caffeine was at 100% HP. I think this is game.
Yeah,
Jake.
I mean, with a misclick like that, there's no way to live. The Mosh Pit just to secure the damage onto the core. Everyone on the side of TNC is focusing it, and game number 1 goes to TNC.
Unbelievable. That's just so crazy. A little bit of a crucial misstep. Like misclicks like that happen. iDream used his disengage, and the hitbox of Greymane was covered completely by the Avatar Muradin. Like, that's an understandable mistake on Dunk Train's part. I don't know if that would have saved the game, but it still is a pretty critical mistake.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's all she wrote for C9 and for game 1. Of course, it's best of 3 series. But TNC showing up.
Definitely.
A bit unorthodox with the Worgen build on Dream. It didn't look like it ever paid off. I mean, his damage really wasn't that impressive. It was so late game oriented, and honestly, the Tyrande Karazim was just out healing it way too much.
I don't particularly like that Greymane build, and believe me, I love going ham on melee characters, so I've tried that build inside and out, but it's just not consistent. It's more consistent if you have an Uther. D-Shield is so much more reliable than Ancestral Healing, as we saw in that last team fight, but honestly, I think they would have had a better chance if Tassadar went standard and Greymane went standard that game. Just accept they have a poke comp, wait until someone's low, then pull the trigger with go for the throat and Muradin leap.
We're going to have to see what C9 can do. I mean,
higher prioritization on Illidan, for sure.
You think so?
TNC banned it as first pick. They'll most likely ban it as second pick. The C9's thought process right now, I mean, you saw them try and do the same thing with Greymane as they would have done with an Illidan comp. They had Rhaegar, Tassadar, put all their eggs in one basket, except for the Easter Bunny in this case was Greymane and not Illidan, so that much sustain doesn't transfer into a successful team fight, if that makes any sense.
Likely going to be Towers of Doom for game number 2. We'll see if Cloud9 can turn up the heat and bring it back. We're going to throw it a quick commercial break to get ready for our next map. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be back in just a moment.